Hello friends, I am John. In today's episode, let's discuss on simultaneous elections in India. Stay tuned. Speaking in the Constituent Assembly on the proposed articles on elections and election commission in the Constitution of India in the making, then Dr. Ambedkar mentioned that drafting committee had two alternatives before it on the Constitution of Election Commission. Whether it should be a permanent body or if it could be a temporary body to be set up before elections and wind up upon completion of the process. Proposed on the possibility of part-time election commission was driven by the assumption that elections were expected only once in 5 years, except for the odd by-elections, to fill the casual vacancies that might arise once in a while, and leave a permanent commission with no work in the intervening 4 years. But the committee anticipated the possibility of mid-term dissolution of legislative assemblies. It recognized that it was necessary to be in state of readiness to conduct fresh elections promptly in such situations, for which a permanent commission was necessary. Participating in the debate, Professor Saxena observed that since no fixed term for houses of legislature or fixed election cycle was proposed in the constitution, concurrent elections could happen in initial years. Still later on, there would be elections regularly in some states or the other. As predicted by Professor Saxena, we had concurrent elections for the first 2 decades. We had the first general elections of Free India conducted up for about 6 months, starting from October 1951, held simultaneously to the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies of the state as constituted then. The next 3 cycles of elections also witnessed concurrent Lok Sabha and legislative assembly elections, barring a few stray cases like Kerala, where a mid-term elections was held in 1960 on the premature dissolution of the assembly, and in Nagaland and in Pondicherry, where the legislative assembly was created only after the 1962 general elections. The last occasion when we had near simultaneous elections in the country was in 1967. All legislative assemblies except those of Nagaland and Pondicherry going to polls with the Lok Sabha. The fourth Lok Sabha constituted in 1967 was dissolved prematurely in 1971, ahead of its normal term, resulting in a mid-term Lok Sabha elections. This was the beginning of the end of simultaneous elections. Extension of the term of Lok Sabha during the national emergency declared in 1975 and the dissolution of assemblies of some states after 1977 Lok Sabha elections further disturbed the cycle of concurrent elections. After the 2 premature dissolution of the Lok Sabha in 1998 and 1999, only 4 state assemblies have been going to polls along with the Lok Sabha elections in the last 2 decades. The other states have assembly elections at different times, and we now have at least 2 rounds of assembly general elections every year. Elections to the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies are held together if the terms of the houses are ending around the same time. Sections 14 and 15 of the Representation of the People Act 1951 empower the Election Commission to notify elections any time during the last 6 months of the term of the House and not earlier than that. A lead time of 25 days from the date of notification is a statutory required minimum period before a poll can be taken. The election schedule is announced a few days before the election notification as an advance notice to the stakeholders. Therefore, if the terms of the houses are expiring within a window of 3 to 4 months, it would be legally possible to hold elections simultaneously to constitute the new houses. In other words, to contemplate simultaneous elections, we need as a starting point a situation where the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies of all states and union territories have their terms ending together. Both the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies have a term of 5 years. Clause 2 of the Article 83 of the Constitution provides that the House of the People, unless sooner dissolved, shall continue for 5 years from the date appointed for its first meeting, and no longer, and expiration of the said period of 5 years shall operate as dissolution of the House. There are identical provisions in Article 172, Clause 1, regarding the term of legislative assemblies. While these houses can be dissolved ahead of the scheduled expiry of the term of 5 years, there is no provision for extension of the term unless a proclamation of emergency is in operation. Bringing the terms of all the houses to sync with one another necessarily calls for either extending the terms of several of the houses or curtailing the terms or combination of both, that too by 2 or 3 years in some cases. For enabling such curtailing or extension of the term, the relevant article of the Constitution will have to be suitably amended. Even if the terms are synchronized as a one-time measure, we will still need an adequate legal safeguarding place to avoid midterm dissolution and protect the simultaneous election cycle. For maintaining the electoral cycle, some countries have legal provisions to the effect that for a no-confidence motion to be brought up against the government in office, the proposed resolution should also contain a constructive vote of confidence in an alternative government with a named leader to head it. In such cases, even if the sitting government is voted out in the House, there would be an acceptable alternative in place by virtue of the constructive vote of confidence. This helps to maintain the fixed term of the House and pre-attempt stalemate situation, thrusting fresh election as the only option. Let us now quickly understand how simultaneous elections can reduce labor, time and expenditure in the conduct of elections. Polling stations for Lok Sabha and Legislative Assembly elections are the same. So is the electoral roll. Electoral rolls of all assembly constituencies within a parliamentary constituency become the roll for that parliamentary constituency. There is no duplication of work in preparing the electoral rolls for the two elections, and hence no extra labor or expenditure is involved on this count. However, in the conduct of elections, all logistic arrangements are replicated for the two elections when the same drill can cater to both the elections if held together. A polling team headed by a presiding officer is appointed for each polling station for taking the poll. These officials are primarily government officials and teachers. The same polling team, with perhaps a couple of additional officials, can handle the poll in a combined elections to Lok Sabha and the Legislative Assembly. This would mean saving on transport, accommodation, storage arrangements, training, remuneration, and so on. This will also mean saving in the terms of human resources. Another area of saving in simultaneous elections would be in the deployment of the Central Police Force. Two separate elections would require movement and deployment of forces on two occasions, while one such exercise of almost the same scale can do the job in concurrent elections. One aspect that could offset the savings would be the doubling of expenses on electronic voting machines, the EVMs. The EVM now has 3 unit control units, a balloting unit and the VVPAT printer. The recommended life of EVM is 15 years. One set of EVMs is used in a polling station for one election. Since the Lok Sabha and Assembly elections are not held together except in few states, the same EVMs are utilized for both the elections. Using the same EVM repeatedly for different elections does not involve any extra expenditure or labor. For conducting the election simultaneously, each polling station needs 2 EVMs, one for the Lok Sabha election and other for the Assembly election. This would mean that for a simultaneous nationwide election, the requirement of EVMs in terms of numbers would also be doubled compared to separate elections. At present, we have well over 1 million polling stations in the country. This figure can go up with an increase in the number of electors. Every polling station is supplied with a control unit and a VVPAT printer, and one or more balloting units, which depends on the number of candidates in the constituency, since one unit can handle up to 16 names only. The Election Commission, as a policy, keeps a certain percentage of these units as a reserve for replacement in the event of functional problems in any polling station. The tentative price fixed for one set of control unit and a balloting unit is Rs 17,000 and VVPAT costs over 16,000 rupees. At the rate of 1 per polling station, the additional expenditure for procuring EVMs for the 1 million plus polling stations along with reserve EVMs would be well over Rs 4,000 crores. Considering that the incidental recurring expenses in the storage and security of these machines will also be a considerable amount, the overall expenditure in holding elections may not see any substantial dip on account of simultaneous elections. However, simultaneous Lok Sabha and Assembly elections can bring considerable savings in their election propaganda campaign expenditure for the political parties. Political parties engage in extensive campaign activities, especially in general elections. They employ multiple methods to reach out to the electors through public rallies, road shows, smaller roadside meetings, advertisements on print and electronic media and other platforms, personal contact, and in several other ways. In a simultaneous elections, such outreach programs will serve for both the elections. Public rallies involving top leaders and media advertisements are both expensive affairs. Simultaneous elections could thus bring down the campaign expense of political parties by a long way. The local bodies elections have not been considered for the analysis here. Those elections are conducted under the direction and control of a different constitutional authority, the State Election Commission. Holding local bodies election along with the other elections will require the team of same polling officials to report to and take instructions from two different authorities simultaneously, even on the same issue, and they may not necessarily get the same direction in all cases. There is a distinct set of polling stations too for local bodies elections. Further, the judicial forum before which the local bodies election can be challenged is the Court of District Judge and other lower courts, whereas an election petition challenging a parliamentary or assembly elections is to be brought before the High Court. Therefore, situations may arise where the same issue forms a ground to challenge the elections may be raised in two different courts, one for the Lok Sabha assembly elections and the others for the local body elections. A simultaneous nationwide election would push up the voter turnout, since a once in 5-year event is bound to attract more enthusiastic participation across all sections. Frequent elections can bring in the election fatigue factor, at least among some section of electors. Simultaneous elections in a regular electoral cycle may help address the fatigue element and the usually observed urban apathy in voting. Better electors' participation will further add to the credibility of the elections. The idea of concurrent elections has been discussed in the past. The feasibility of the idea, the merits and demerits associated with it are all likely to be the subject of further scrutiny and analysis at different levels in the future. For more videos like this, make sure to click subscribe and hit the bell icon. See ya.